Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to SocietyCast, our virtual speaker series aimed at facilitating inspiration, insights, and innovation amongst our network. I'm your host. My name is Vianney Lubis, Vice President of the Alumni Society, and I'm coming to you here from my home in Chicago. And to kick off, I see many of you already doing this, which is great. I do want to encourage you to use the live chat, share where you're joining us from in the world, and say hello. So in a moment, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our speakers to the screen. But before I do that, I just want to run through a few housekeeping items and share how our session is going to go today. So first, we're going to have about 25 minutes with our speakers, followed by an interactive Q&A session with all of you. So have your questions ready. And then because this is a special edition of SocietyCast, we're actually going to migrate over to Zoom to have an energizing 30-minute networking session to just continue the conversations, get to know your fellow members, and also our partners at Facebook. So back to the program. There are two main ways to ask your question. So you can submit a question at any time using the Ask a Question feature, which is just located underneath at the bottom of the screen there. And a pro tip, if someone has a question that is similar to yours, you can actually just go ahead and upvote that question and it'll rise it to the top, ensure it gets answered. In addition, if it's easier, go ahead and use the chat box. We'll be monitoring that as well. So let's go ahead and invite our speakers here to the screen to join me. Hello, Leo. Hi, Francisco. Everyone, I want to introduce you all to our speakers today. First, Francisco Varela, who leads Facebook's mobile and connectivity partnerships team. The MCP group is focused on Facebook's global relationships with mobile operators, OEMs, and other key actors in the connectivity ecosystem. So today, Francisco is going to be having a conversation with Leo Olebe. Leo leads global games partnerships at Facebook, with teams based in Menlo Park, London, Singapore, and Los Angeles. A results-oriented veteran executive with experience ranging from management consulting, brand management, and strategic partnerships. He's worked with some of the biggest brands in the world. So we're very honored to be with you both today. Excited to hear the conversation. And with that, Francisco, I'll let you take the floor and I'll come back to close.
No, thank you, and good morning to everyone, or afternoon, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Francisco Varela. As you heard, I head up our mobile and connectivity ecosystem partnerships here at Facebook. Essentially, we are quite dependent as a company, as are many of yours, on this little device and how people are using it. Approximately 94% of our revenues come from mobile devices and 97% of our use. So any friction in that ecosystem really impacts our platforms and the usage of them. Separately, we're also looking to just connect the world and bring people together. That means a tremendous amount of work in our growth areas in Southeast Asia, Africa, making sure that our products are available to them and they have affordable data pricing to use our products. Excited to be here, and I've already seen a couple of people I know on the side thread. So hello to my former friends, families, colleagues, I should say. But it's good to see you all here. Leo, thank you for joining us. Do you want to give a quick introduction?
Happy to be here. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, everybody. My name is Leo Olebe. I lead the games partnerships team here at Facebook. So anything that's gaming related is what we do. We work with gamers all over the world on every platform, every different possible way you can think of. I think to kind of echo Francisco's comments, it's a way of bringing the world closer together. And there are billions and billions of gamers around the world. We build platforms. We give people the opportunity to help other people watch people play games. It's kind of strange, but it's a lot of fun. I've been at Facebook about 5 years, and everything that we can do to give people the power to share what they love with the people they care about is what we work on.
And thanks, Leo. I think this one's going to run a little differently than a normal question and answer. So we'll be looking for your questions in the threads. Please bring them forward. But primarily, I have the joy of knowing and working with Leo quite regularly. I've seen his development at Facebook. We've both been here just over 5 years. I believe, Leo, that puts us in the 92nd percentile of people we've employed at Facebook, given the tremendous growth we've seen these years.
Yeah.
But this is a topic, and we're in the middle of Hispanic Heritage Month. I wanted to talk to you about your background as an ally, right? We both come from very diverse backgrounds, very different cultural affinities. What have you seen is kind of the core themes through your career that are leading to your effectiveness? What do you bring with you from that?
That's a great question. And I think to get to the answer, I need to talk about kind of where I come from and how I'm showing up as an ally as well. Some people may be wondering. So I am somebody who was born in Nairobi, Kenya. I have a Ugandan father. I have a Russian mother. I'm married to a Latina woman from East Los Angeles. So we have three amazing kids. So I'm also the father to, 3 Latino kids. And so, I've been together with my wife we've been married for almost 20 years, 19 years. We just celebrated 19 and together for 27. So, the larger part of both of our entire lives has been together. And that means that I've been, a part of her family and a part of her experience and really trying to learn what it means, to be a part of this community, as an ally specifically. I think all of those things about my background, have presented themselves in different ways throughout my career. When we talk about how do you have the opportunity to show up and be successful, like the I don't know if I'm going to perfectly answer your question, but I've been thinking about this.
It's not an easy one when you think about it.
It's not an easy one, but
we're all a product of our background, and it's hard to define that sometimes. Because
exactly.
You're caught with that view, which is only your view.
Right. So I feel like it shows up in the resilience that we all have to bring to work every single day. And so I learned that through, my tribe in Uganda are still subsistence farmers with no running water and no electricity. I have a great grandfather who you guys are all going to be shocked. I'm a very open person and I'm ready to share. So, I embrace faith.
Come on, give it to us.
Entirely. So I'm going to tell you some shocking stuff, but this is exactly my point in this conversation. I have a great grandfather who was assassinated by the Russian mob for defending people. Yeah, you've never heard that story. Literally, if anybody can get the front page of the New York Times, I think like 1909 edition, you can look up Longan Kovton. So I have a Russian Jewish background. And then my wife's great grandmother, who's still alive today, 97 years old, she was sold into slavery from Mexico, coming to the United States when she was 5 as an indentured servant. That's how she came across the border. So, I think about the way you handle work every day is how you show up. It's how you persevere. It's how you take your heritage and these stories of people surviving incredible odds and push through, because I think work life in America is still an exercise in swimming uphill for people who look like us and people who are involved in our communities, and so resilience is critical.
No, I hear you, and I think it's almost easier to see it with your kids, right? When you're speaking with your kids about how everything you've gone through, it's a much easier lesson to teach them than it is in speaking to a large group like this and talking about how, this is how I show up every day at work. This is how I bring my cultural heritage, because you just are who you are. And there is this thoughtful process that needs to take place. And I think I know since having my daughter now 15 years ago, that has become a lot easier for me. Telling her about my experiences, telling her how much I saw my parents struggle when I was born. As I grew up in San Diego, my father was a construction worker. My mom was a full-time homemaker and sometimes part-time housemaker for other people. It was tough. It was really tough. And you almost didn't know what you were missing out on. And that started to show up later in my career. When you look at the challenges that we both face coming up, for me, it was primarily trying to understand what I had missed along the way. I had a great friend of mine in college, in undergrad, who taught me how to sit at a formal dining table. Basics. I had mentors tell me from my early days in internships in college how to act in an office. Right? I had no idea. What do you wear? What type of shirt do you wear? All of these ways of being in a society or I should say, in a place where I didn't have that example. Yeah, my daughter, she's going to know it from as if she's always grown up with it. It's always been a part of her background,
and you get to teach her
listening. You do those things that we can do in our role. Facebook's an amazingly great place for families. I think we have bring your daughter to work day, and even sometimes you just bring your kid in and they get a sense of what we do and how we're interacting.
Right.
I want to take you back to a particular moment that you can tell us about on the challenges maybe a challenge that you remember in your career as you're looking back that really made a difference for you.
So I've had multiple challenges in my career where I actually I learned terrible lessons a very difficult way and didn't even respond the best. And I'll give you some specific examples. In the moment, however, learning from those opportunities and figuring out what went right, what went wrong, how do you show up, how can you represent yourself has been extraordinarily powerful. A couple of examples. One, and I'm not going to name names of any companies or any of that kind of stuff. I worked at a Fortune 100 company a long time ago and experienced very terribly a racist incident, in front of 250 people. And nobody knew how to handle it. It was this really terrible experience. Went all the way up. I wound up having a president of a company apologize to me for what happened. And thinking back on that time, I was able to rely on allies, rely on friends and colleagues for support and advice of how to manage your way through a situation. I don't think I did it the best, but it gave me the opportunity to know that it's really, really important to find people that you can rely upon as mentors and sponsors and friends to help you through really, really difficult moments in your career. I had another experience which was 100% my mistake and my failing, where I had been working on a project.
Leo, you made a mistake?
Oh my God, this just one time. Well, we had literally, I was working in consulting. I'd probably worked on a project 400 hours. And by hour number 399, I couldn't take it anymore. I literally was at my wit's end. And I had, at the time, if anybody remembers, how slow Microsoft Excel and computers used to be, we were running this solver model that would take 3 hours to run, the plant optimization thing. And at the end, it would spit out a number. Well, I ran the model, spit out a number, and there was a period at the end of it. And it went to our editors who were presenting a deck for the senior partner. And there was a mistake. And she's like, run it again. And I was getting on a plane in 2 hours in New York City. It takes 2 hours just to get to JFK to go visit my girlfriend, now wife of 19 years. And I said, no, I'm not going to run it again. You guys can use whiteout. You'll be just fine. And I went downstairs, I caught a cab, and I took off. And man, I was put on the beach after that. I was benched for 6 months. And the lesson that I learned was about following through, about stick-to-itiveness. And even in the hardest times, after you put in that much effort and energy, it's so important to just see it through to the end. And then you have a great resolution and you can carry that with you. But I made a terrible mistake. And, I've learned deeply, deeply from it. Now, the person who made me do the silly edit wound up, leaving the company. But, in the moment, hey, you take moments like that, and you have to figure out how do you apply that and how to move forward. And I think we were talking earlier, Francisco, about Facebook is a place where it's an amazing place to work. It's always busy. There's always something going on. We're connecting the world. It's intense and it's fast and it moves and it's exciting and it's deeply impactful. But there's always something else to do. And so having that ability to just push on and carry through, take what you're passionate about, find other allies and colleagues to work with is a critical skill, I think, to being successful at our company and many others.
No, I completely agree with you. I think for me, I always go back to my, I was a lawyer. I started off as a lawyer in this. I was a lawyer for 10 years doing international transactions, and then finally switched over to the business side about 15 years ago. Yeah, it seems shorter than that. I don't know how it's a long 15. Wow. I think what I took away from all of this, and again, a moment of failure, right? Not doing something right, maybe not realizing it at the moment, but having someone come to me and saying, my boss at the time, and saying, hey, this isn't right. And instead of just chewing me out, actually sitting down with me and figuring it out with me, right? Taking me through the clauses of that particular contract and how they could fit together better and actually make better sense. I ended up working for that person for 7 years as a consequence of that moment.
Oh, wow.
I just stuck with them. And that, we're going to run out of time, and I want to be conscious of the clock here, but I don't want to ignore the role of sponsorship and mentorship. It's talked about so often, and I think very misunderstood.
Yes.
Right. Without a doubt, you need someone in that corner fighting for you, just constantly fighting for you, giving you opportunities that you didn't think you were going to have. And I'll give you an example. That same guy, 5 years later in my career, I was looking for something different. I wasn't sure what I wanted to have. He had left the company just about 6 months before, and he just calls me out of the blue and says, "Would you like to move to London and run my my team in Europe for me?"
Wow, that's awesome.
And I called him. We just had some casual chats and some coffees. I impressed him, but that's somebody who's looking out for me, and they need to develop those relationships and find those people and hold on to them. And I'd say conversely, because we have a very diverse group on this thread, being that for someone.
100%.
Part of your mission, making it part of your professional development, not just to go to a conference and meet people, not just to network, not just to take this new training, not to always be looking up towards you're going, but who you're going to bring up as well. That's
exactly right. I think that the mentors that I've found throughout my career have always consistently shown up. They're kind of sit on my personal board of directors, right? And I'm always on the look, and I'm learning more about sponsorship and getting those allies that are going to fight for you. To your point, it's so critical. But I think the last piece of that, of giving back, of lifting people up, of taking risks and putting yourself out there, not so you can further your own career, but so that you can like benefit like those people who are either coming behind us or whatever. Like that's the most important thing I think that we can do. Like I've spent a lot of time being the only. I think all of us have spent a lot of time being the only. You're the only this in a room. You're the only that in an industry. You're the only. You're the only. You're the only. Well, the only way to change being the only is by encouraging others, supporting other people, and bringing them up, and making sure that they don't have to experience the same things that you did, and they can rely on each other as allies, and then mentors, and then sponsors as well.
Absolutely. I'm not sure if I need to do something to open up the Q&A. And if anyone has questions.
Yeah, if anybody has questions, put them in chat or open up the Q&A. It's all good.
We can open up the mic. Because I'm going to go on with you. I can go on with you forever.
Yeah, no, we can spend a lot of the time. And I would Francisco, I want to give you a shout out because throughout my career at Facebook, you've often been that sounding board for me. And not only as a colleague and a friend, but also as somebody who's setting an example for how to interact and engage, with people at the highest levels, the CEOs of the biggest companies in the world. And so I share that not only to thank you, but also to let people know that you're always on a learning journey, and you always have the opportunity to find inspiration and support all around you.
Absolutely. In fact, we had a question in. I'll give this one to you. How do you choose people you'd like to mentor? How do you become that mentee?
So, okay, I'll give you the fastest answer I can, which is, I put out the offer quite often, and I choose when people actually respond to the call to action. So I spend a lot of time like speaking to students and talking to various groups, and occasionally I'll say, hey, look, people who are interested, like connect with me on LinkedIn, or if if I'm in a small class, like reach out. There's only ever like one person who ever does it. You could speak to like 100 people and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's such a good idea. But if there's only the one, who's like, okay, let me take a risk. And if they approach you well and like, they're like, hey, I just want to learn, or they have a great question, then you really want to lean in and engage. I think all of this stuff is like a two-way street. Like people put themselves out, very often. And I think folks would generally be surprised. There's probably some famous study that we need to look up around how often people actually take others up on the call to action to engage in those types of relationships. It's probably very low.
Yeah, I'm with you, Leo. I always ask people in my all hands, hey, you can contact me. We can do a one-on-one. Yeah. It's always the same three people.
Right.
So
right.
My ability to choose who to mentor and who to sponsor is actually quite limited to who puts themselves up and actually shows the interest. It's amazing to me how that doesn't happen. If you need a sponsor, if you need a mentor, find the person that you want to mentor you, and create the connection.
That's exactly, yes.
Inquire,
yes.
Ask for the one-on-one, ask for the coffee. Gosh, when we get back into the office, find out where they like to go get a snack and join them. Right? Ask to join them. It's not as tough as it seems. And I'm just amazed now that I've been in this career for over 20 years, how few people take me up on the offer of just spending time together and a one-on-one. And it's not reviewing their achievements for the half or the quarter. It's about them.
Right.
Want to get to the next question. What are your perspectives on Facebook culture given Antonio Lucio's departure and political conversations? I think there's two parts to that question. I'm happy to take it because I'm friends with Antonio. He very much saw his life go, needing to be dedicated to the cause of diversity, to the cause of our community. He's absolutely wants to focus on that full time. In his view, he has, like all of us, a limited amount of time of productive work years. He wants to focus those now. He's now been the CMO several times. He's been in the spotlight. He's been the big jobs. He put us on a fantastic track over these last 2 years on where our brand needs to go. And much of the work that we need to do now is product-based. I hope some of you guys saw the launch of Messenger inside of Instagram Messages yesterday. So we're combining these two products. A lot of that was Antonio's helping us form those ideas. And he's now wanting to change where he's going. I think he's been very honest about that. And if any of you know Antonio or see him at an event, please go ahead and ask him this question. I think he'll be open and honest with you as anyone else. But yeah, he's a fantastic friend, remains a fantastic friend. In fact, he's one of the guys that I'm going to bug, and I'm going to bug for that coffee. He asked us all, please ping me when you'd like to see me again. I've already put out that message to him and plan to see him again very, very soon.
That's awesome.
Next piece. What is the one piece of advice you'd give your younger version of yourself?
Believe in yourself more. You've got to put in the work, and you have to believe that you can do it, that you can find success, that you can navigate problems, that you have the opportunity to bring your authentic self to what you're doing and really have the ability to persevere and push through. I struggle with this often. I think many of us do. I think many people do, right? Because you're hitting roadblock after obstacle after, hard moment. I struggle with believing in myself. And if I was going to go back and tell Leo from 20 plus years ago, like what's going to help you carry through, it's, you do have the skills to pay the bills, so to speak. You do have some great qualities to bring to the table. I think self-esteem and honoring yourself is extraordinarily important and will help you go even further.
Man, I that's just beautiful because you are. For those of you who don't know, Leo's a freaking rock star at this company. He's amazing. He doesn't just look smooth and sound smooth thanks to a setup there. He's the real deal, and someone that we always talk very highly of here at the company. So I do that. I also believing in yourself, I think, is a huge part of it. I do want to go to something else that I see regularly is it's not just a symptom of our group, but in anyone in their career. I'd say take the time to become an expert. It's so easy to, get challenged, and then you start looking at other things like what else can I do? And I think it's a symptom of smart people, right? We hire some incredible people here at Facebook. They get a year or two into the job and they think they just kind of have it, and then they get distracted by something else and like, oh, I'm going to go work on this now for a little while. Yeah. Your value as a professional will come from your expertise, your ability to know a space, a product, an issue so well that you can not only speak to it, but then start to revamp and reimagine and change. Right. How long have you worked in the gaming space?
21 years.
I've now worked in the mobile space for more than 15. I don't feel bad calling myself an expert in the space.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I had a boss once when I was working on the Matrix Online video game, and he said, and we were talking about this exact subject, and we are talking about your ability to either navigate an organization, to have deep understanding in your career on a particular subject, an industry, or what have you. And he says to me, he goes, Leo, at some point you're going to see the code of the Matrix. If anybody's seen the Matrix movies, you just got that green dripping code, and like Neo and Morpheus are talking to each other, and he's like, I don't see code. I see code, and I see the inner workings, the background, the connective tissue between so many different things. That's what you're talking about, Francisco, the ability to build that expertise and that experience where you're seeing the code of the Matrix because of your extensive experience and engagement.
My geeky self can't help but correct you on that. It's the conversation between Cypher and Neo.
Ah, okay. There you go.
I don't see code anymore. I see blonde, brunette. That's what he's saying when he's looking at the screen.
That's right. That's right.
My geeky self can't help.
I love it. I love it.
Hey guys, I'm back.
I'm just proud I got to correct the guy who actually worked on the video game and on the Matrix on the Matrix.
I have a giant Matrix poster right next to me.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Thank you all so much. I just wanted to come back, and I think that's all the time we have today for the discussion. But man, thank you both so very much for this amazing discussion, your energy, your passion. I did want to make sure you saw this comment, Leo, from Isabel Villegas. You saw it. It's been a rough few weeks at work for a variety of reasons. Leo, your words have been golden, especially today. Believe in yourself. Thank you. Thank you, Isabel, for sharing that. So now it's time to go into the networking portion. Jill just put it into the chat box here. We have also below the video screen a link to the networking session on Zoom.
This is the good part. This is the good part for us. So
yes, so join us there. We'll see you there momentarily. See you soon. Thank you both.